Today we take a look back at the 1958 World Cup in Sweden, replayed in PES 6. We start with a look at the four groups and then go through the knockout rounds to the final. A total of 130 goals were scored, an average of just over 4 goals per game. Top scorer Hugh Seeler alone scored a total of 8 goals. We saw some wonderful goals and crazy games, including some unforgettable comebacks. Get ready for the big review of the 1958 World Cup. The German team begins its mission to defend the title against Northern Ireland and can rely on the 1954 heroes Fritz Walter and Helmut Rahn, among others. After this attack down the left flank, another remaining 1954 world champion, Horst Eckel, scores the first goal of the tournament. Northern Ireland equalize, but Hamburger SV's Hugh Seeler scores a penalty kick before the break to give Germany the lead again. In the second half, Horst Eckel scores his second goal of the day, one of the most beautiful goals of the whole tournament. This goal from Kush brings Northern Ireland back to 2-3, but Seeler's second goal of the day makes the final score 4-2, a successful start for the world champions. The second match of the group between Argentina and Czechoslovakia was a goal festival. Alfredo Rojas gave the South Americans an early lead, and Zieken scored the equalizer. Oreste Corbata was to become the best assist man of the tournament. Here, the Racing Club winger sets up the 2-1 for his team. Corbata also sets up Avios 3-1 with this corner kick. But Czechoslovakia make a comeback despite being 2 goals down. Popluhar shortens the deficit with this header. And a short time later, striker Borovica from Dukla Prague scores the equalizer. On the second match day, West Germany and Czechoslovakia meet. Fritz Walter from Kaiserslautern opens the game with a bang. What a wonderful goal! But Czechoslovakia proves to be a worthy opponent and manages to equalize through Feuereisel. As Argentina beats Northern Ireland, Czechoslovakia needs help from Germany on the last day in addition to a victory against Northern Ireland. And this help has a name. Uwe Seeler scores 4 goals and puts Germany in the lead with 3-0 and 4-1. Argentina needs at least a draw if Czechoslovakia beats Northern Ireland at the same time. Seeler proves to be difficult to defend, especially in the air. Argentina had just scored its first goal of the day, but Seeler immediately hit back. With the score at 4-2, Lebruna misses a huge chance alone in front of the goal. Nestor Rossi then actually scores the next goal with this header, and Argentina goes all out on the attack to equalize. They tried until injury time, but without success. But because Czechoslovakia was tied 1-1 until the 90th minute, the narrow defeat would still be enough. All of Argentina listened intently to the radio as the match in Malmö drew to a close. Moravcik's goal, literally in the last second, struck the South Americans right in the heart. West Germany and Czechoslovakia play in the quarterfinals. Argentina and Northern Ireland were out. France was one of the most entertaining teams in the tournament, thanks in particular to attacking stars such as Just Fontaine and Raymond Kopa. Kopa also likes to take on several opponents, as here when he scores the 2-0 in the victory over Yugoslavia. Paraguay decisively defeats Scotland. Amarilla scores the 1-0 in the 14th minute, and before halftime, the Scots score an own goal. A disastrous start to the tournament. And in the second half, it continues like this. Here the 0-3 from Cayetano Ree. It takes too long for Scotland to get into the game and at least score themselves. Romero scores goal number 4 for Paraguay. The final score is 4-2. In the second game, another masterpiece from Kopa gives the French an early lead against Paraguay. Vincent passes to Piantoni, who increases the score. But Paraguay manages to shorten the gap with a lot of fighting spirit. Fontaine initially fails to get past the goalkeeper, but keeps his cool and passes the ball to Vincent, who effortlessly scores. In the end, France beat Paraguay 3-2. A goal in the final minute lets Yugoslavia celebrate their victory against Scotland. The Scots played their best game only when it was too late for them, beating France 2-0. Imlach and Cowie scored the goals, but the French still secured first place in the group. Yugoslavia must win against Paraguay, and thanks to this red card, is a man up for a long time. Nevertheless, they find no way to beat the South Americans, who thus secure second place. Host Sweden experiences a shock at the start. John Charles of Juventus heads in the lead. And his brother Mel Charles even increased the score to 2-0 for Wales. Skoglund's corner leads to the first Swedish goal of the tournament, scored by Gren. Goalkeeper Svensson makes an outstanding save against Sullivan shortly before halftime. In the second half, the Swedes stepped up a gear and equalized through Kurt Hamrin, much to the delight of the many spectators. Gren's second goal of the day is the decisive 3-2 for Sweden. Hungary had to do without some of the stars of their 1954 team, but they got off to a successful start with a 3-1 win against Mexico, thanks to goals from Sandor and Tichy. Tichy also scores in the second game against the hosts. Sweden hits back with Lidholm's goal. The final score is 1-1. Medwin scores the last goal for Wales in a 4-2 win over Mexico. Their clash with Hungary on the third match day will be decisive. Mellberg is the hero in Sweden's 4-2 win against Mexico. He scores 3 goals in just about 10 minutes. Wales needs a win and scores the first goal of the day early. Sandor was the most striking player of the tournament for Hungary. Here he scores the equalizer after a strong individual performance. But the joy is short-lived, because the Welsh response follows in return. Hewitt's second goal decides the game. Sweden wins the group ahead of Wales. Goalkeeper MacDonald saves England from an early deficit against Austria. Liverpool player Alan Acord scores the first goal for the Three Lions. Although Kerner manages to equalize, England ultimately wins against Austria 3-2. Thanks to this fortunate goal, the Soviet Union takes the lead against Brazil. All eyes were on Pelé, and the 17-year-old Santos forward delivered. The Soviet Union manages to keep the result until 15 minutes before the end, but then Brazil's attack is out of control. Zagallo, Pepe, and Zito score to make it 4-1 in the end. England fared much better against the South Americans. After Acort's shot hit the crossbar, it was Bobby Charlton who put the Three Lions in the lead. The answer comes from none other than Pelé, who scores the equalizer after Zagallo's pass. Garrincha and Altafini score in Brazil's 2-0 win against Austria. The Seleção's only concern is the injury to Pelé, who has to be substituted and is in doubt for the quarterfinal against Wales. 2 goals from Broadbent shortly before halftime decided England's all-or-nothing match against the Soviet Union. Salnikov's goal came too late. England now plays Sweden in the quarterfinals. Only thanks to goalkeeper Aguilar's unfortunate own goal did West Germany manage to secure a narrow victory against Paraguay. England complains in vain about Lidholm's alleged offside position. Kevin's header is powerful and well-placed, but Svensson shows his full class. Selmoson breaks through the English defense and seals Sweden's victory. Fontaine's fine work is finished off by Copa. France has everything under control for now. However, Molnara manages to equalize 15 minutes before the end. And when Dvorak turns the game around for Czechoslovakia with his header, the French suddenly face elimination. But Copa can pass the ball to Vincent in the 87th minute, and the man from Reims scores. In injury time, he almost scores another goal, but Stacho saves. In extra time, the Czechoslovakians had the better chances, but the match ultimately had to be decided in a penalty shootout. In the penalty shootout, almost every player from both teams converted until defender Pluskal stepped up. His missed shot spelled the end for his team, which had nevertheless performed very well. For a long time, superstar Pellé's participation in the quarter-final against Wales was in doubt, but he managed it and immediately showed his class again with this assist for Vava. But Mel Charles manages to equalize surprisingly in return. Botafogo's winger Garrincha is one of the stars of the Brazilian team and delights the fans with this wonderful goal to make it 2-1. After Didi increased the score to 3-1 with a penalty, Pelé went through on his own and crowned his strong performance with the goal to make it 4-1. Substitute Joel Martins even increased the score to 5-1. West Germany gets off to a better start in the first semi-final against Sweden. But Gren does better than Ron on the other side. He scores the lead for the hosts. With Skoglund's goal to make it 2-0, the door to the final is already wide open for the Scandinavians. But the German team is known and feared for its fighting spirit, and so it is not surprising that they come back again thanks to Seeler's goal. Skoglund can only stop a German attack with a foul, and the referee shows him the red card. Sweden has to worry again. The Germans now have numerous chances, as here with their captain Hans Schäfer. Seeler usually takes such chances blindfolded, but this time he doesn't hit the ball properly. This header also doesn't find its way into the goal, and so Sweden makes it to the final. There, the winner of France's match against Brazil awaits them. The South Americans opened the scoring in a spectacular match with Didi. On the second goal, Vava reacts faster than the French defenders, who mistakenly thought it was offside. But the French also boast impressive attacking power. Copa's shot is deflected, but Penverne is there. Piantoni aims a bit too precisely and only hits the crossbar. After just over an hour, Zagallo set up Vava for Brazil's third goal. Can France come back into the match? Yes, they can. Raymond Copa of Real Madrid scores and gives the French side renewed hope. Five minutes before the end, Pelé could have made the decision, but he shot the ball just wide of the goal. When Bruey's header misses the goal in the 88th minute, all hope seems lost. But in injury time, the striker gets another header, and this time he sinks the ball into the goal and equalizes. Both teams played at a high tempo, and fatigue showed in extra time. Zosimo, one of the substitutes, ultimately emerged as the hero, taking Brazil to the final against the hosts. France was left with only the match for third place. A misunderstanding led to the German lead. Just Fontaine equalizes for his team with a diving header. 4 years after winning the title, the German team wanted at least the bronze medal now, and so they pushed for the lead again. However, just Fontaine scored this for France, who came back from behind. But Uwe Seeler wasn't finished yet. The tournament's top scorer equalized again with a powerful shot. And in injury time, the German team even scored the winning goal through Klott. Thus, the 1954 world champions finished in third place this time. The final at the Rosunda Stadium in Stockholm was supposed to be the crowning conclusion of a great tournament. Since both teams shone with their offensive strength, the chances of a spectacular final were very good from the start. And expectations were even exceeded. In the 7th minute, Zito had far too much space, was able to march through the midfield, and put the Brazilians in the lead. Oberg, only in the starting 11 because of Skånglund's red card suspension, played an outstanding game on the left, just like Hamren, who equalized. Then the stage belongs to Pelé. The 17-year-old beats his opponent and scores the second goal for his team. But Oberg got better and better as the game progressed. He beat Djalma Santos and set up Mellberg to make it 2-2. Svensson saves his team from falling behind again against Garrincha. And shortly after the break, Gren sets up Hamren, who puts the home team in the lead for the first time today. However, the joy does not last long, as after Garrincha's shot, Svensson's deflected ball lands in his own goal. But the Swedes manage to strike back again. The ball goes down Oberg's left side again and finally lands with Gren. The dream of winning the World Cup in their own country is alive. Brazil remains dangerous, but Vava misses a great chance. Despite close man marking, Pelé finds Garrincha, who scores to make it 4-4. Nilton Santos's block prevents Gren from scoring the 5th goal for Sweden. And Gilmar shows the next Brazilian heroic act when he dives and somehow saves Selmasson's shot. Maybe the best save of the tournament. And he also saves Lidholm's free kick. The replay shows how narrowly Oberg's shot missed the goal. Brazil is happy to reach the penalty shootout. For a long time, the support of their fans had inspired the Swedes, but now they showed nerves and missed 2 penalties. At least their goalkeeper Svensson can be relied upon. His save against Martins and the subsequent goal by Oberg give Sweden one last chance, but now Didi has to fail. But the 29-year-old Botafogo midfielder keeps his nerve and converts his penalty confidently, securing Brazil's first World Cup title. For a long time, it looked as if the winning goal for Sweden was only a matter of time. But thanks to goalkeeper Gilmar and the reliable penalty takers, the South Americans won the cup 8 years after the disappointing defeat against Uruguay in Rio. The tournament's top scorer is Uwe Seeler of West Germany with 8 goals. Argentina's Oreste Corbata needed only the 3 group stage matches to provide 4 assists. Kalle Svensson of Sweden was voted the best goalkeeper of the tournament, and the best player is Brazil's Pelé. We congratulate them both, and of course the Brazilian team, on winning the title. Thank you for following us through the tournament. We'll see you soon with new content on this channel. Until then, stay tuned.